Welcome to Outside Views. Today we address a troubling question. Has Brexit undermined the UK's protection of women from violence? This is an issue that goes beyond politics and strikes at the heart of social safety and equality. When the UK left the European Union, it severed ties with several systems and structures designed to protect women from gender-based violence. The consequences of this decision are becoming increasingly evident. But let us start by exploring the loss of EU funding mechanisms. Before Brexit, the UK had access to EU programs like the Rights, Equality and Citizenship Programme. These initiatives supported campaigns to combat gender-based violence, funded shelters, and provided crucial resources for survivors. Since leaving the EU, these streams of funding have been cut off. The impact has been stark, with many organizations struggling to maintain services that are lifelines for women in crisis. This loss of funding has left a gap that domestic funding has not fully replaced. Brexit also meant the UK lost access to critical EU data sharing platforms such as the Schengen Information System, Europol and Eurojust. These systems allowed for real-time sharing of information about criminal activities, including sexual violence and human trafficking. Without these tools, law enforcement in the UK is now less equipped to track perpetrators across borders and respond effectively to transnational crimes. And this is particularly concerning given the global nature of human trafficking networks. Another major loss is the European arrest warrant. This tool facilitated the swift extradition of suspects across EU member states. Its absence creates delays and complexities in bringing perpetrators to justice, especially in cases of sexual violence where timing is critical. This loss is not just a bureaucratic inconvenience, it has tangible consequences for victims seeking justice. The situation in Northern Ireland adds another layer of complexity. Research shows that Northern Ireland is one of the most dangerous regions in Western Europe for women and girls. A staggering 98% of women in Northern Ireland have experienced some form of violence or abuse in their lifetime. Since 2017, 42 women in the region have lost their lives to violent acts, with a male perpetrator in nearly every case. And these figures underscore the urgent need for robust protections, yet Brexit has exacerbated existing challenges. The lack of cross-border cooperation with the Republic of Ireland, which is an EU member state, further complicates efforts to address violence against women in the region. Globally, femicide remains a crisis, with women often at greatest risk in their own homes. In 2023, the United Nations reported that 85,000 women and girls were intentionally killed worldwide, with 60% of these cases perpetrated by partners or family members. This sobering statistic highlights the importance of international collaboration in addressing gender-based violence. The UK's withdrawal from EU networks weakens its ability to participate in such efforts effectively. The cultural dimension of this issue cannot be ignored either. Phrases like "take precautions" or "text me when you get home" reflect a society where the burden of safety is disproportionately placed on women. This normalization of fear perpetuates a culture where violence against women is often treated as an inevitability rather than a societal failure. In the UK, the underreporting of sexual violence remains a significant barrier to justice. In 2023, London alone saw over 8,800 reported rapes, an average of 24 incidents per day. Yet these numbers likely represent only a fraction of actual cases, as many women do not report assaults due to fear of being dismissed or blamed. The European Union has taken significant steps to combat gender-based violence. Its legislative framework criminalizes various forms of violence against women and guarantees access to support services, shelters, and legal protections. Programs like the EU Protection Order allow victims to relocate within the EU while retaining legal safeguards against their abuses. The Istanbul Convention, adopted by the EU in 2023, further strengthens commitments to prevent violence, but also protect victims and, very important as well, prosecute offenders. These measures highlight the importance of a coordinated international approach to tackling this issue. The UK's departure from the EU means it no longer benefits from these protections. While domestic laws exist, they lack the reinforcement and collaboration that EU membership provided. Organizations like the Young European Movement UK have launched campaigns such as Break the Silence to End the Violence to address these gaps and advocate for policy changes. They call for measures like making misogyny a hate crime, a step that could improve prevention and accountability. The loss of EU support also impacts marginalized groups disproportionately. Migrant women, ethnic minorities, LGBTQ+ individuals, and women with disabilities often face additional barriers when seeking help. For instance, migrant women may fear deportation if they report violence, while systemic biases can discourage women from minority communities from approaching authorities. And these challenges underscore the need for inclusive and equitable policies to protect all women. One of the most significant lessons from Brexit is the danger of prioritizing political agendas over human rights. The decision to leave the EU was framed around sovereignty and control, but it has come at a cost to the safety and well-being of women in the UK. The lack of access to EU resources and networks has left the UK isolated in its efforts to combat gender-based violence. Addressing this issue requires urgent action on multiple fronts. First, the UK must restore funding for victim support services, ensuring that organizations working to combat gender-based violence have the resources they need. Second, it must establish new data sharing agreements with EU countries to compensate for the loss of Europol and Eurojust access. And third, the government must commit to stronger legal protection for women, including measures to tackle systemic issues like victim blaming and underreporting. And education and cultural change are also critical. Schools should include comprehensive education on consent and healthy relationships as part of the curriculum. Public awareness campaigns must challenge stereotypes and emphasize that violence against women is a societal failure, not an individual one. And employers and community leaders also have a role to play in creating safe and supportive environments for women. Being a man doesn't mean to hurt a woman. I know that people are always even complain about that. The picture of a man nowadays is totally softened down and whatever. It doesn't mean to be a man to hurt others. And there's where the wrong conclusion is. You might not be happy about the picture of many men you see, but that is their choice, how they want to be. If you want to be different, that's fine, within human and legal boundaries. So you can be as much man as you want without hurting others. But the UK must strengthen its protections for women until then. So thank you for joining me on this critical exploration of the impact of Brexit on women's safety. And if you found this analysis insightful, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Outside Views for more in-depth discussions on post-Brexit politics and social issues. Let's continue the conversation as well in the comments below the video, because do you think the UK can recover from these setbacks, or has Brexit permanently weakened its protections for women? I really look forward to hearing your thoughts, and as always, stay informed and see you in the next video, one of those you already find right here in the end screen.